Hello everybody. The topic of this presentation is approaches to treat neurodevelopmental disorders in children. You can find complete lecture related to this presentation on the link which is provided down in the description box. The complete lecture is divided into numbers of presentation, and today I am presenting the first part of this presentation. So let's start with our presentation. My name is Humaira Tabassum and I am Senior Pediatric Neurophysiotherapist. Neurodevelopmental disorders is significant topic in childhood disability. If you will see the complete lecture and all parts of this presentation, you will find that this presentation is a general overview of neurodevelopmental disorders in children in the context of physical therapy. What are the objectives of this presentation? The complete presentation will provide you the recent definitions of this group of disorders, how to distinguish and identify conditions of NDD causing specific symptoms and problems through the process of differential diagnosis, how physiotherapy assessment is done to diagnose the type of NDD a child is suffering from, and different approaches being used in physiotherapy to treat particular disorders. However, the whole presentation is divided into different parts, just not to lose your concentration for watching the long video. So today in this part number 1, we will only discuss the different definitions and the etiology of neurodevelopmental disorders. The term neurodevelopmental disorder is actually the combination of 3 words which you can see here. The first word is neuro, which means central nervous system of human being. The second word is development, which refers to the normal growth of a structure or normal advancement of functions. And the third part is disorder, which means problem or illness in a child caused by disruption or abnormalities. Thus, to describe the term neurodevelopmental disorder, we could say that any problem or illness present in a child which is due to the disruption in the normal growth of a structure of brain or CNS, or due to the abnormalities in advancement of function in central nervous system in a child during the normal course of development. So now let's have a look on different definitions being provided to specify this term over past few years. According to the definition provided in 2003, neurodevelopmental disorders are the disabilities in the functioning of the brain that is mostly affecting the cognitive functions of the child. And what are these cognitive functions? The functions which are responsible to develop behavior, memory, or ability to learn in children, as in the cases of mental retardation, dyslexia, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, learning deficits, and autism. There is another definition which suggests that neurodevelopmental disorders are the disabilities or abnormalities related to physical aspects of development, which is in fact the consequence of early damage to central nervous system, for example cerebral palsy. According to the definition provided in 2005, neurodevelopmental disorders are intellectual disorders which are affecting both physical as well as cognitive functions of the children. According to the recent definition provided in 2015, neurodevelopmental disorders include intellectual disability, which is causing intellectual developmental disorder, language developmental disorder, learning disorders, and motor disorders. Thus, combining all the above mentioned definitions, we can say that neurodevelopmental disorders could impact the development of functions in children in various ways. It may affect intellectual functioning, delaying the global development of child, including the motor functions. It may affect intellectual functioning related to cognition, memory, learning ability, and thus affecting the behavioral development of child, which is responsible for learning and acquisition for functions of daily living. It may affect the motor development of child, or it may affect the sensory processing of brain, which is affecting the ability to adequately interpret the sensory information received from environment. These children may suffer from abnormal sensory functions, or we can say abnormal sensory processing functions, or these children may have sensory based abnormal development of gross motor, fine motor and postural functions. Because of the different various impacts on functional development of children, the neurodevelopmental disorders are also presently known as neurodevelopmental behavioral intellectual disorders. After finishing with the definition, the next step is etiology of these disorders. It is very important to know that what are the risk factors contributing within the development of these disabilities. Another important thing to know is the age, that what age is critical for the onset of these disturbances in children. The neurodevelopmental disorders can be triggered even in preconception time. There are many factors which are involved in preconception time which can disturb the structural development and functional development during the gestation age. The most important factors are the health factors of mother and even the father. Many of the health factors of parents can affect the structure and functional development of central nervous system during the gestation age. Pregnancy is another crucial time for maldevelopment of central nervous system of a child. The first 8 to 10 weeks of pregnancy is the time of major structural development, and the time period between 20 to 36 weeks is the time for advancement of functions. Therefore, the structure is highly at risk between 8 to 10 weeks, and the functions are highly at risk between 20 to 36 weeks. So, what are those deformities during early pregnancy which can lead to neurodevelopmental disorders in children? There are several structures which are at risk during the time of start of conception till the end of first trimester. The first part which is at risk is neural tube. Time period between 18 to 26 days of conception is very important because this is the time where the neural tube originates and closes to become a tube-like structure. This neural tube is considered as the foundation line for the development of complete central nervous system, including the brain and the spinal cord. If there arise any problem during this time period, it may lead to either abortion at first place, or if pregnancy sustains, child may suffer lifelong profound disabilities known as neural tube defects. Children who are born with neural tube defects are the children who have conditions like spina bifida, myelomeningocele, and hydrocephalus. Once neural tube closes, it further develops between 4 to 10th gestation week and develops the main part of the brain like cerebrum, and its part including thalamus, hypothalamus, left and right hemispheres. The another structures of the brain which develop during this time period includes brainstem and some part of the cerebellum. The another end of the neural tube extends to form a spinal cord, which further starts to spread out nerves into the body. During this time, full structural growth of the brain may be at risk, and it may affect the normal size of the brain. Children who have problems during this time period born with the condition which is known as microcephalus. Microcephalus is the condition which is dominant with the small size of head and brain, and these are the children who suffer from lifelong intellectual disabilities with substantially low IQ and global developmental delays. Second to fourth gestation month is the time of neuron developments. This is the time where cells in the wall of neural tube starts multiplying and they change into nerve cells which are known as neurons. This is the time where all lifetime neuron comes into existence in one time. Neurons are the structure which are later responsible to shape the behavior of all the developments in children. This is also the time where neurons are differentiated into either motor or sensory. The other structures which are developed during this time period from neural tube includes face of the child, inner ear and retina of the child. Now, what is the time period where advancement in functions in a developing child may be at risk? The physiological functions of central nervous system starts to begin sometimes from the middle of the pregnancy, and it keeps on continuing long after in the postnatal period, and some of the functions keeps forming until 10 years of age, and there are some functions which keeps on developing even till 20 years of life. You can see here in this picture that the physiological function starts to develop from the time which is called migration. This is the time when all those numerous neurons which were created during 2nd to 4th month of gestation starts to migrate towards their destination and starts to arrange to take their shape in order to adapt the function of that part. After the birth, even these physiological functions keeps on developing, and child using the life experiences keeps advancing the functions of different parts of the brain, and this process keeps on continuing till the 20 years of age. The process of migration, that is the displacement of neurons from their original place to their destination, continues till 8th gestation month. Premature delivery or brain injury around 8th month may lead to disorders of late migration, and these disorders include impaired coordination, visuoperceptual problems, and sometimes they may have seizure disorders as the disorders of late migration. Another important function is synapse formation. It starts essentially in the last trimester and continues till first 2 years of life. Synapses are the interconnection between neurons, and these interconnections are responsible for the communication between neurons and thus develop integrated functions in child. We have numerous neurons and numerous synapses which are created essentially between 2nd to 4th month of gestation. Only working neurons and synapses tends to alive and functioning. Other non-working die. This process is called pruning. Pruning is sort of fine-tuning of mature brain. This process of pruning continues till teen ages, and according to the recent evidences, they may continue even after teen age. Myelination is an important process that begins in the second half of gestation. The process continues postnatally, and it is very rapid until 3 years of age and even continues till adulthood. Myelination supports efficient and fast message transmission in between the neurons and is responsible for final maturation of central nervous system. Problems disturbing the process of myelination, specifically during first 3 years, could affect this efficient transmission of messages and thus could alter the pattern of acquisition of functions in early childhood. Cerebellum and cerebral cortex, specifically frontal lobe, are very late to develop. Cerebellum is responsible for smooth coordinated motor development and thus helps individuals to learn new and skilled motor movements throughout life. Cerebral cortex is responsible for development of cognitive functions and emotional handling and helps individuals to significantly shape their lives. The brain maturation is influenced under the process of myelination and synaptic pruning. Individuals are highly influenced by their environment, novel learning opportunities and experiences. These all factors affect neuron development through process of pruning, where either neurons change their role or character or unused neural connections become functional. That is how, with maturation of central nervous system, individuals also grow and gets mature enough to handle the lives efficiently and successfully. Brain development is determined by two factors: genes and environment. Genes are shared from parents. Genes direct the brain structure growth. The environment refers to the condition within pregnancy time or events related to delivery timings or postnatal consequences, including both physical or emotional problems. Genes support normal growth of the fetus and thus helps to conduct a smooth pregnancy. This leads to normal full-term delivery, which is efficient environment for postnatal brain development. There are many factors, either genetical or environmental, which could affect the development of central nervous system from preconception time till early childhood or adulthood. The genetical factors can cause abnormal development of brain parts in fetal timings, and this may lead to global developmental issues or sensory processing disorders in children. Preconception deficiency of vitamin B12 in mothers may lead to neural tube defects in children, and these children may suffer from hydrocephalus, myelomeningocele, or spina bifida. Gestational medical conditions and health issues in mother are the main reason for difficult labor and delivery, and these increases the chances of brain injury during delivery and can cause cerebral palsy in children. Gestational psychotic disorders in mothers lead to behavioral disorders or emotional disorders in children, which could be obvious during early age or may appear around teen ages in children. Some of the other examples of the causes of neurodevelopmental disorders in children are exposure of fetus to X-rays, specifically during middle and late pregnancy; environmental pollution factors in industrialized societies like pesticides, ethanol fuel, lead, etc. Poverty in societies and malnutrition of mother is another significant contributing factors of childhood developmental disabilities, most specifically related to problems of functional maldevelopment during postnatal period and early childhood. Neurodevelopmental pediatric is recent developing field where many professionals are working together in a team to deal with the complex aspects of development of central nervous system in children. These professionals are working together to rehabilitate and improve the intellectual or physical functions in children by medical treatment or applying therapeutic techniques or using a specialized training program, thus making these children functional and independent as much as possible. That is all for part 1 to discuss the definition and etiology of neurodevelopmental disorders. Let's sum up the whole discussion. During this discussion, we visited different definitions of neurodevelopmental disorders, and to conclude, neurodevelopmental disorder is an umbrella term, and presently it is known as neurodevelopmental behavioral intellectual disorders. For being umbrella term, it is presented as varieties of developmental abnormalities in different combinations in children and affect various aspects of development, including the cognitive development, physical development, behavioral development, and adaptive functions. We also discussed that several causes are responsible for the onset of these disorders, and these factors may be genetical or may be environmental in nature. So whatsoever is the cause which is developing neurodevelopmental disorders in children, they are usually affecting either the structural development of the CNS and or physiological development of the CNS. The age of onset is again a long range of timings which may start from preconception time to pregnancy, to natal period, postnatal period, early childhood development, or middle childhood development. And even sometimes the after effects of these neurodevelopmental disorders are more obvious in teen ages or sometimes even after teen ages. We also discussed that the field of medicine which deals with these complex aspects of developmental disorder is known as neuropediatrics, which is a recent developing field, and many of the professionals, they work under this name in a team together to address the developmental problems in children, and they rehabilitate them using either medical treatments, therapeutic techniques, training programs, or educational plans to improve their functional independence at the most. Thus, for variety of conditions, functional problems and symptoms a child is suffering having neurodevelopmental disorders, it is important to identify and diagnose the specific condition in a child in order to understand and address the problems adequately and design an effective treatment plan for these children. For the reason, systemic differential diagnosis is of high importance while dealing with this group of disorders, and therefore clinical reasoning for differential diagnosis is going to be upcoming part of this presentation. So this is Anne, and I must say thank you very much for listening. I hope you find this lecture informative and useful, and also hope that upcoming videos will add up into your knowledge and information too. Please do follow the next part, and I will be very happy to receive comments from your side and reply to your queries. Thank you once again, and see you in the next part of this presentation.